We just had what might be the most exciting grand finals of all time. I don't know how this is possible. I don't know how it always comes down to Poyo versus Peterbot. It was the most ridiculous finish. All the storylines we've been building up for the whole year and all season came together for this grand finals. It started and finished at Demon's Domain because it would finish no other way. We also have all of our last teams qualifying to land, including MrSavage qualifying by less than an elimination. I want to cover all the action. I want to show you guys some clips from the grand finals as well as some IRL clips and reactions from the tournament because this is going to be a grand finals to remember. All right, let's jump into it. All right, if my voice sounds a little bit funny, I apologize. I just got done with a massive stream. This grand finals was ridiculous, so you know I was screaming right to the very end. I'm not going to try and pretend you don't know who won it. We just had Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual win again by 3 points. Less than an elimination. And the way this finished was absolute cinema. Like, this whole season started at Demon's Domain. All the drama that's been going back and forward, even going from obviously the start of this chapter, the players trying to split up and play with new trios, and it came down to Pete versus Poyo in game 12, and it started and ended at Demon's Domain. Like, this could not have been more fitting. So going into the last game, we actually had Aegis, Akon, and Poyo in first. They're about 90 points clear of Peterbot's team, and Pete wasn't even in second. They were behind Kanata, Rapid, and Bolt, who also had a chance to win the tournament. You've probably already seen it, but in case you haven't, I'll show you the moment when we realized that Pete was dropping on Poyo. Did they drop? Did they drop? Are there gliders? Oh, there's gliders! Oh, here we go. It all comes down to this. We started at Demons. We're ending at Demons. And a great drop from Poyo. Poyo gets the gun. 55 tag, though. Poyo's down. Poyo down. Poyo down. Aegis down. It's up to Acorn. Wait. Pete has a chance to steal it in game 12 because it's motherfucking Peterbot. Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
Poyo's team has won this spawn fight so many times. And when it all matters, for somehow, Pete always comes out on top. It is actually ridiculous, but Acorn maybe has the ability to try to ruin this for them. They don't see him. They don't see him. They don't see him. They're going to see him, though. They're going to spot him. They're going to spot him. They're going to spot him. And then it's going to come down to Kanata versus Peterbot. They spot him. Poyo, Acorn, and Aegis go down on spawn. It just, you genuinely can't make this stuff up. The fact that it went down to the off-spawn, Pete's team winning it, despite the fact that Poyo's team has won more times off-spawn against Peterbot this season. When are we ever going to be in a position where going into the last game, a team needs to land on first and they know the drop spot as well as Pete did at Demon's Domain? This is never going to happen where two of the best teams in the world have been conning each other all season, and it comes down to the wire in grand finals. One of them has been dropping somewhere else, and now they have a chance to land on them to take it, and of course, they win it. Poyo actually had a really good drop in this situation as well. It's not like Poyo's team played badly. Pete's team just, as always seems to be the way with Pete, levels up when everything's on the line. But at this point, they've taken them down, but you know, Acorn's team still had a very solid lead. Pete needed to get an over 80-point game to be able to overtake them here, and Kanata is still in the way as well. But Kanata's team, and I talked to Kanata about this, they basically didn't have a way to get their surge in the last game because Oliver Ajit, the team over at Outlaw, which they were trading a lot with outside of Crime City, they were now contested, and Chimp's team that was nearby was also surprise contested. So for Kanata to get his surge this game, he had to fight for it. Kanata took a fight in the mid game and then ended up going down. Kanata went down, they tried to reboot him, their surge wasn't good. Kanata tries to take a fight on the edge of, I think it was like 6th zone, goes down, and now it's all eyes on Peterbot. Peterbot has the chance to clutch up yet again another grand finals, but he has to get the win. This is how last game went from Peterbot's POV. Pete's on 288. It's Clicks versus Pete. Clicks versus Pete for the high ground potentially. King has now taken everyone down. They're giving Pete the win. It's Clicks versus Peterbot 3v3. Cold's dropping down. It's feeling like a Pete win. It's feeling like Pete's going to close it out. There's no way. 3 elims though. They still need the win. They need the win. They don't have enough elims for the second now. I think they have to win it.
I'm not going to say it's scared by any means, but
Hey, Cold Ritual dropping down now. Cole's got no builds. Cole's got no builds. He's in. It's an absolute cluster. What's going on? Everyone in the box. Does Cold somehow win this? Does Cold actually clutch this up in the moment? Cold somehow managed to come out of that. What? No one shoots Cold.
This game, minus Cold, of course.
Clicks Yomzo and Minish. Pete Cole and Rich will have to win it. Yomzo goes up. Yomzo and Clicks. They fell out of the running for FNCS, but they could still write the script here with a clutch. But a Minish gets slammed by Pete. Pete hits the shot. Pete and Rich will have the health advantage. Pete might be going down. It's a Yomzo as a solo. Zoe has to win as a solo. Otherwise, Pete wins FNCS. Clicks gets finished. Pete goes down. It's Ritual. Ritual has the Elim. It's a 7 Elim win. And Pete Cold Ritual win it. Oh my God. They needed a 7 Elim win to overtake Poyo, and that's exactly what they got. If they got one less elimination, if they came second, if anything else happened, Poyo would have won FNCS, but of course, Peterbot pulls it off to win yet again another FNCS. Just absolutely ridiculous. This does mean, obviously, Aegis, Acorn, and Poyo came in second. They played phenomenal. They had a very interesting weekend as well. Poyo's team obviously kicking off the weekend with 2 wins in a row. Everyone thought, that's it. Poyo's team's going to run away with FNCS. They're uncontested Demon's Domain. It's over. But then they started to get contested. They ended up actually losing to the team contesting them, but that team decided to then leave after getting third party, realizing that if they fought, it was going to go against them. I thought all things looking good for Poyo. They're back to uncontested. Now they can win FNCS. But the team that was contesting them ended up actually dropping on JoJo's team next to them on the mountain, and that was their main surge trading route. So therefore, Poyo's team really struggled on the rest of day 1. But Pete's team was ahead going into day 2, but Acorn, Aegis, Poyo, they VOD reviewed the night before. They figured out strategies, and they came out swinging, and they won the first game of day 2. They managed to win 2 games on both days. They just didn't win FNCS with 4 victory royales. Pete getting his only victory royale in that 12th game. Like I said, Rapid, Kanata, Bolt also in the run to win it. They could have actually won FNCS. That means they've secured their land spot. Super happy for Rapid, Kanata, Bolts. I got to chat with Kanata. He said they played really, really well. They could have played better. They could have won FNCS, but they can't be mad with the land qual. That team formed pretty much out of desperation. We're all talking about it when they first formed. They were a team that hated each other. They all openly just despised each other when they last played together, said they'd never play together again, got back together, gave it a chance, and played phenomenal. They almost won FNCS. They were almost the first team to win an FNCS that didn't have Peterbot or Poyo on the team since Chapter 5 Season 2. But they clutched up the land position and the 3rd place, and then, as you can see, quite a significant drop down to Visual's Braids and a Minish. Still played really well. 4th place. They're already in land as well, so they didn't take a land spot. And then it went to Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx. Now, you guys know I'm a big Muzz fan. He's one of my favorite pros. I've been friends with him for years now. Super proud of what he overcame this season. They got contested at Resistance Base in Grand Finals after not even almost making Grand Finals, having to go through last chance qualifiers after Clix' team keyed them in the group stages. They made it to the finals, contested by Skittles, did insanely well on day 1. Muzz put up a generational performance on day 1. Day 2, they were no longer contested. Skittles team no longer dropping on them straight at Resistance Base, but taking a lot of the loot on the split next to them. So Muzz's team had to overcome that, still managed to do so, and took the 2nd land spot for NA, meaning our 2 new teams going to land is Rapid, Kanata, Bolt, and Muzz, Shadow, Sphinx. That leaves a few big names out. Aviv, G-Money, and Rise missing out by 1 single place to Muzz, and then Booga, Threats, and Craze, 2 of Muzz's ex-teammates. So very, very insane finish. Again, there's probably a really big team that you're surprised I haven't talked about yet. We had Clicks, Higgs, and Iomzo finishing in 8th place overall. Not a terrible placement, but for a team that a lot of people, myself included, had picked to potentially win this FNCS, it was a big underperformance. And a lot of you guys are wondering, what happened? What went wrong? I was actually lucky enough to talk to Iomzo right after Grand Finals and ask the questions a lot of people had, because while watching, if you watched any of the broadcasts of my streams or any other watch parties, everyone was confused what was going wrong with Clicks. It just looked like they had, not really a good game plan or things were struggling, but throughout the season, they've played excellently. And a lot of people were saying it's because in Grand Finals, they decided they didn't want to trade Surge, that was against the rules and they didn't agree with it. And I got to ask Iomzo, and that wasn't the case. Iomzo said, look, like as much as we hate Surge trading, we wish it wasn't a thing. It's part of the game. You have to do it, but the zones weren't really there for us. We had a lot of south zones, which meant we really didn't have the time to trade like we needed to. So we tried to play aggressive. We tried to WQ. We tried to match what Frodoxy did on EU, which I'll talk about EU in a second. And he said, look, it just didn't work. We just didn't execute properly. There's so many things we could have done, so many situations where if we played the fight better or we made a better decision, we could have done well, but it just didn't work. But I wanted to make it clear that a lot of people are questioning, what went wrong for them and, trying to say that they chose to change their strategy during grand finals. Not really. Grand finals is where the surge thresholds are much higher. You need to get way more surge. They didn't get the best zones because they no longer had Edgy's team to the south. They couldn't take the Spire anymore, which is a big part of loot for them. It was a big aggressive loot path. They had to change that last minute because of Peterbot. They tried to key Peterbot in one of the games, game 10, tried to take a straight 3v3 against Peterbot, and they lost and went down. A lot of people calling that a grief play, myself being a bit confused. Why would you just randomly key the team in first that you haven't fought yet? It seems like Clix's team was just, they were out of ideas, and that's what Yomzo said. Look, we keyed the team at Pump Power a bunch. We keyed the team to our north. All of them started expecting it. The only team we hadn't keyed to try to get easy elims on or surge was Pete's team, and we tried to fight them, and we lost. Again, I don't think it was a terrible decision, just the execution was bad, and it went against us. So I did want to explain that to the audience because I know a lot of people were confused. Clix, on stream, he's playing with muted comms, so you can't hear what Higgs, Yomzo, or BloodX is saying. And at the end, he kind of broke it down and just said that he wasn't really sure what is happening in Fortnite. He doesn't have a good grip on what is going on. And I think it is just the surge trading strategy it doesn't really suit them, and they just didn't really have a backup plan for that. They tried something different and it didn't work, and it sucks to see, but I'm still very excited for Clix, Higgs, and Yomzo coming into FNCS Globals. I think they could still be a phenomenal team. They've shown a lot of potential. Second place last grands, but this one, I think it slipped away from them and they mentally just didn't have a backup plan, and it got the better of them. To round out the top 10 on NA, we had Phaser, PH, Zin, and King, our South American trio. They brought a 9th place overall, which I think is quite respectable. We don't see a lot of small region teams come to big regions and get top 10. So I know a lot of people are hoping for maybe like a top 5. This is a team with 16 FNCS wins. I still think that is a good showing. They were only 2 points behind Clix, and coming into LAN, hopefully the experience and practice they got on NA was worth the trip. And then in the top 10, just to finish off, we had Reet, Cooper, and Curly, a team that struggled because of Clix's decisions. Again, Reet saying that the reason why they struggled so much was Sphinx's team was conned at resistance base against Skittles. They usually do a lot of their trading with the resistance base because Clix then wasn't really trading Surge out of Supernova. They had no one to trade with, and then that kind of messed up their whole strategy. They had a really rough day 1. They brought it back on day 2. They got 3 second places in a row to kick off day 2. They then started to struggle a little bit towards the end of day 2 and then brought it back with a couple decent games, but overall, not a phenomenal performance from Reet. I talked to Reet and Cooper. They were both pretty upset about it, but it is what it is. They're not too worried about globals. It just didn't really play out the way they wanted in grand finals. This FNCS, especially on NA, genuinely was just one of the craziest we've ever seen. It does make me want to actually go and do a proper kind of breakdown game by game story style video of how FNCS played out. If you guys would like that, let me know in the comments down below. I'll try and cook something up for it because I think there's so much that I couldn't talk about in a video like this. We had Cole's 1v3 on the mountain to save the game. We had Pete lurking on Acorn on day 1, hiding out. There is so much to talk about, and now that I've been here in Dallas and I got to talk to so many of the pros after grand finals, interview them on stream, go hang out with them off stream, I think I have a lot of insight that I could put into a video that would make it really cool. So I'm sorry if you wanted me to break down NA grands even more than this. I do think it might be one of the best grands of all time as far as just the storylines and the finish. I'll try and cook something up for you guys as well, don't worry. Moving on over to EU, and I'm so happy to announce we have a first time FNCS winning trio, Chino, Pablo, and Fredoxy. The Danes, they came second place last grand finals, now first place, proving they are not one-hit wonders. That was not a one-off opportunity. They played absolutely phenomenally, and they did it out of Supernova, the same drop spot as Clix. And I think that's a lot of reasons why people are looking at Clix as such a big underperformance. Well, if Fredoxy did it, why can't you? And honestly, the joke was kind of coming out against Clix for people who aren't the biggest Clix fans, saying, you aren't Fredoxy. And Yomzo, when I talked to him, agreed. He said, look, Fredoxy is the crouch king. That's what he called it. He said that Fredoxy just pulls off these insane fighting plays, these insane lurks. He has everyone's rotations around him dialed in, and they just make phenomenal decisions, and they execute on them well. Fredoxy's team, Fredoxy himself, doing over 5,500 damage with the dual pistols. Hardly anyone else was even using the gun. He did over 5,500 damage with them. It is, easy to understand if you watch the tournament. Fredoxy's team had the most amount of shotgun damage done of any trio. They were one of the only trios in both regions that was, I'm not going to say not surge trading, but was hardly surge trading. Fredoxy's team would get up on Supernova, they'd trade their early surge, they would use that extra buffer of time they now had to W key and play super aggressive, get their elims, and it worked flawlessly. They played phenomenal. The only time time, they made a big mistake. They decided, I think it was in game number 10, for whatever reason, to key Veno's team. They had an over 100-point lead on Veno. The only way that they lose FNCS is by having a 0-point game and Veno catching up. And for whatever reason, they decided to key Veno at boxcars, which I respect the play. I honestly commendable to have that level of confidence, but the risk to reward ratio is just not there. Yes, they can take down Veno, and then if they go on to have a good game, basically secure their FNCS, but they could just keep playing the way they've been playing, and with their point average, they should comfortably win, but they went down. Veno's team wounding them. They ended up going down and getting almost 0 points that game. Veno went on to have a good game, and it meant that it came right down to game number 12 for Frodoxy and Veno. Now, I'm going to show you a clip. I think this also speaks volumes about Vico's passion, but also Veno's ability as an IGL. This is the IRL footage of when Vico realized they'd lost FNCS.
Yeah, Max. You go get Max, maybe. Push back, push you. Goes to the body. Nice try. Okay. Alright, that was a nice try, guys. We did everything we could. That's all we can take away from that. Go ahead. Okay. You played great today. We did everything that we could. Yes, he's emo. I want to smack the fuck out of him. We did everything we could.
I love to see it out of Veno, you know, telling Vico you did everything you can. It is what it is. And honestly, Vico's team did have a pretty unfortunate tournament. They went into day 2 in 7th place overall, kicked off with 2 massive wins, bringing it back, putting themselves back in the running for winning. They had so much momentum. And then Malabuka decided to land on Vico at boxcars. Now, this was a strange one. A lot of people definitely a little bit confused about this. People pointing back to last season when Vico started contesting Malabuka. We did have Flixie point out that when they did it, they were playing to try to win their tournament. Malabuka was trying to do it just to make sure that Vico lost. And again, like I've always told you, that is my definition of griefing. If you're playing to make someone else lose, that is griefing. If you're playing to make yourself win and it happens to negatively impact someone else, well, that's unfortunate. It's the way the game goes. But you can draw your own morals on that one as well. If you think Malabuka was griefing, if you think it was revenge, if you think it was justified, if Malabuka at that point had no drop spot, he'd been struggling at Demon's Domain, tried to go somewhere else, ended up then going boxcars. They ended up winning the fight, but because of that, it really did break Vico's momentum, and then Vico's team still did well. They brought it down to the last game where they had a chance to win it, but Chino, Pablo Wingo, and Frodoxy just played too good. In the last game, we even had Frodoxy popping emotes out in endgame knowing they'd won. Super happy to see them win it. Again, the Danish goats, they've been playing extremely well recently. I am very interested to see how they do in LAN right now. Their stock is on the moon. All the players around the world recognizing Frodoxy is not just good off spawn, he is an overall phenomenal IGL and fighter. Pablo and Chino, genuinely disgusting fighters in that mid game. They are looking like a very solid team coming into globals. In 3rd place, we have a team no one's surprised to see there, Vanya, Pixie, Maris on 636 points. Now, all 3 of those teams already have their LAN spot. There's 4 LAN spots up for grabs on EU. So before I break down the rest of the leaderboard, I will make sure we go through who got the LAN spot. Seti, Yapko, and Panzer got the first one. Tayson already had their LAN spot. So Focus, Mixon, and Upple got the second one from Shogun Solitude, by the way. Then we had Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache. They already had their LAN spot. So we had iDrop, Hari, and Cammy. Cammy's team going from last chance qualifiers to making it to LAN. And then in the last and final LAN spot, Chap, MrSavage, and Rezon by 2 points. Half an elimination. They made it to Grand by 1 point, and then they made it to LAN by 2 points. I want to show you MrSavage's reaction to finding out they made it to LAN.
Come on,
No, bro.
Are you sure?
God.
No friends, he's a LAN, I know.
100%.
No friends in
Yeah,
LAN, he's so
100%.
sad, bro.
Oh my
Win,
God,
2
let's
points.
go.
2 points.
Come
Let's
on.
go.
By 2 points.
Oh my God. Oh my God, how?
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 How? Oh my God, bro. Oh my.
Is right?
Yes. Let's go, bro. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. How did we just qual? I just broke my headset. Like.
I'm pretty sure I thought he broke his headset as well. I was like, wait a second. That sounds like it broke. Savage's team had to have a generational comeback on day 2. They were 17th place going into day 2. They played extremely well. I don't have Chap's POV, but if Chap was doing half the damage that he was comming that you could hear through Savage's POV, he was absolutely popping off. Every fight would start off with Chap 150, 100, full box on me, 200, 150, 100, key him. Like, Chap was going insane. Really, really opening up their fights and playing phenomenal. MrSavage's team, for the most part, really didn't get on board with the surge trading either. They kind of did just W key their way around. That's how they got a 14 elim 4th, which was the big momentum builder they needed. Their last 3 games was a 14 elim 4th, a 7 elim 8th, and then a 5 elim 11 to just knock Cheatin', Trexer, and Mappy out of qualifying. You have to remember, Cheatin', Trexer, and Mappy after day 1 were looking really, really solid, and they had a very rough day 2. So it was a phenomenal tournament over on EU. I do want to go back and share some love with Seti, Yapko, and Panzer. They had a potential position to win the FNCS. They were in the top 2 going into day 2 out of Lone Wolf, but things just went against them. A lot of teams started W keying them. Then we had Frisk, Tayson, and Chicho. Really awesome to see Tayson up there in the top 5. He qualled LAN. I feel like a lot of people forgot Tayson already qualled LAN because of his insane day 2 performance. Last grand finals, overall they played well. Focus moving from 60 ping to 0 for this boot camp, clearly showing how much he could level up with that ping advantage, getting 6th on EU from Shogun Solitude in a surge trading meta. Like, that is just one of the most underrated performances this FNCS. Then we had Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache. Now, Queasy's team obviously contested at Demon's Domain by Malabuka, destroyed them on day 1, but on day 2, they actually had teams switch up their drop spots around them. The team that was landing on the mountain started getting contested, and like I talked about with Poyo, that really messed up their surge trading potentials, which I think did affect their overall performance. Then we had iDrop, Hari, and Kami, who were doing really well on day 1, but they were contested on the bridge. That ended up being really difficult for them, but in 8th place overall, they secured LAN, and like I said, MrSavage. Now, there are a few big teams down the list that obviously maybe you're expecting to see it do a little bit higher. Pix, Dharm, and Damus, they were getting conned at Utopia City. Vidil, Cringe, and Volko contested at Outpost. CZB, Nathan, and Axforce. Unfortunately, I really wanted to see Nathan be our first EU controller LAN qualifier, but unfortunately, they weren't able to pull it off. Akira, Kurama, and Werix in 15th. This does confirm that we are going to Lyon, our France Globals, without a single French player. Super unfortunate, but it's the way the cookie crumbles. And then probably the biggest disappointment and biggest upset of the tournament, Ping, Wox, and Malabuka in 23rd place on 203 points. Now, it was looking a lot worse if you don't count their last game, an 11 elim win. Malabuka's team beat Queasy at Demon's Domain 1 single time this tournament. They made it off spawn with Demon's Domain loot once, and it was a win. 100% win rate when they make it off spawn. I'm not sure how Ping, Wox, and Malabuka's team is so good at getting wins and so good at every aspect of the game, but spawn fighting, which coming into globals is going to be a problem for them. If they can somehow get a good job uncontested, I still think they are a contender to do phenomenally well at globals, but it's going to be so hard with the reputation they've built coming into globals to get a good drop. Now, I do want to talk about some of the other smaller regions as well, because we had some insane performances across the board. We had Barker, Pars, and Pump win again on West, winning 4 games of 12. They won by over 200 points, but credit to Ark's team, our rating FNCS champs on West, for getting 708 with only 10 games played. They didn't connect into 2 of them because Ark was having PC issues, and then the 1 land spot on NA West, we had Mero going for it, we had Bucky going for it, but it was Epic Whale, Paper, and Victor V. Paper quit, has come back, played with Victor V, his duo at last globals, paired up alongside Epic Whale, and they qualified. Now, again, Bucky unfortunately having a pretty rough tournament. To kick off day 1, he was in 3 points in 3 games, but as is always the way with Bucky, started to make a generational run on day 2, came out with multiple insane placements. On day 2, they kicked off with this is how they finished day 1 into day 2. 2nd, 3rd, 3rd, 5th, 2nd, 2nd. Just absolutely just insane turnaround, but it was a little bit too late, and they went down in 28th, 27th in their last 2 games. Unfortunately, couldn't bring it home, and Mero, Phoenix, Mero, and Thoric almost getting the land call as well. They were in 5th place on 537. They were 2 places away, but going into day 2, they were in the running neck and neck with Epic Whale, and we also had Velo's team just missing out underneath Paper's team. Then over on OCE, I want to highlight a new point record, 1,266 points. Resigns Alex and Anon getting 7 wins in 12 games, but absolutely fragging out as well. They dropped 156 eliminations in 12 games. They averaged over double-digit elims in a grand finals. Super excited to see how they do on land, but they didn't even get the most amount of wins from any team, because over on Asia, we had Rise, Yuma, and of course, Coyote. Again, this kid is got so much gas over the last few months, or even probably the last year. I'm excited to see he backed it up. They got 8 wins in their 12 games. Absolutely ridiculous performance, and I love seeing the small regions have these huge superstar teams that'll hopefully be able to perform on land against NA and EU's finest. I'm really excited to see how teams like Alex and Coyote can back up these placements against harder lobbies. The action isn't all done yet. Tomorrow, Tuesday 5th at around 4 p.m. local Dallas time, I will be live hosting a $23,000 solo LAN event, the Mike and Ike Flavor Brawl. So make sure you guys swing by. I'll be live on Twitch and YouTube covering all the action. If you miss it, don't worry. I'll be making a YouTube video breaking it down. It is going to be a 32-player solo LAN event on my new creative map, Tournament Late Game. If you want to work on your end games, you want to practice your ability to play in competitive in those high pressure environments as many times as you want on, in my opinion, the best map for it, check out Tournament Late Game. I'd really appreciate it. This tournament's going to be a banger.